welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith. I'm really excited today to be able to unbox Solomon Kane from Mythic Games here on the channel. This is a game that I was talking about back in 2018, and that's when I released my last video specific to Solomon Kane gameplay when I was at Gen Con 2018. Those were the good days when everyone could get back together and meet up at conventions, and I was able to sit down with the Mythic Games team and run through a demo at that point in time, piquing my interest even further than it already was. And now we are here in 2021 and Solomon Kane is on the doorstep, and I really am looking forward to showing you guys what you can find inside not only the base box, which is massively heavy on its own. I was actually extremely surprised when I picked this base game up. I don't know what is inside this thing that's making it insanely heavy. It's got to be some of the paper and the books inside. We'll check it out in a few seconds. We're not only going to go through all the components in this, we're also going to check out the Arsenal box. Another big time box that came with the Kickstarter with more content for Solomon Kane, but that's not it. We are also going to check out the Right Hand of Doom adventure box, and if we actually have a little bit more time, we may even dive into some art prints as well as the art book for Solomon Kane as well. So without further ado, let's dive right back to the core box and check out everything inside, starting with the back of the box. In Solomon Kane, players take on the roles of 4 cardinal virtues: courage, justice, prudence, and temperance. These immortal beings strive to lead mortals down the path of goodness. Each is a stalwart and implacable foe of the evil that lurks in the darkness. The players, as virtues, must act together to aid the mortal hero Solomon Kane in his fight against the darkness. This is the fearless opponent who tries to thwart our hero at every turn, and who must be overcome by the players if Solomon Kane is to emerge victorious. But why would the virtues care about Solomon Kane? Surely there are many mortals they could aid. The answer is simple. None share his boundless faith and determination to fight the darkness, whatever the odds or the cost. Here's what you can find inside the box. When you take off the lid, you'll find the quick start guide as the first thing you'll run into. I'll show you a couple pages from this. So how to use it. Once you've read the rule book, now it's time to play. Make sure you're already familiar with the main rules for the first gaming sessions. Have the rule book available to the side in case you need to run through the index. So this is going to get you going real quick with that quick start guide, and you're going to be going ahead and selecting an adventure, gather what you need, select a mode of play, and then set up and begin. And just a quick reminder at the back. That's it for the quick start guide. Now let's check out the rule book itself. So the rulebook here in total pages is going to clock in just around 55 pages. You can see the artwork on it is very, very nice. And I'll show you just what it looks like on the inside without going too in depth, but you can always pause the screen to review what you're seeing if you'd like. This is the introduction, of course, the rulebook. It's got all the components laid out. We're going to see a lot of these up close and personal, plus the names behind each and every miniature in the game, of which there are plenty. And then we're jumping into the core rules. And one of the things that's really cool about Solomon Kane is there's so much to pull from to use for artwork and everything else going forward in the story behind this. So it really, the IP behind this one is a very intriguing one. In terms of game modes, you can do a cooperative play of 1 to 4 players, confrontation between 2 and 5, solo, which is exactly what I want to hear, dual players for 2, and it breaks it all down in terms of how you're going to go ahead. Now, in terms of solo, it states here, this is a solo mode in which the player takes the role of Prudence, see page 38, and fights against the game's darkness AI. Note that you can also play solo in cooperation mode, and this allows you to play solo as any of the 5 virtues. So that is worth mentioning. Plus, you've got some note here around the difficulty. So let's keep on rolling here. Let's see. So we're starting off with setting it up. It looks like we're going from A down to J in order to get everything to the table to get things going. And then from there, you're going to break out and start diving into this rulebook to learn what's going on, how to set up chapters, everything else in the gameplay to follow. So I'm not going to go over everything in this book, but I sure want to show you guys a good chunk of what this rulebook looks like in terms of its layout. Now, I'm not actually reading this word for word, of course, but I can tell just by the spacing of the rulebook and the font size, it looks like it's not, even though it's a thicker rulebook with 50-something pages, there seems to be enough space in here, and the font size is large enough. You're not going to be squinting and stuff like that to find things. They've done, it looks like they've done a good job of actually highlighting specific wording even inside the paragraphs to correlate to what they're talking about in the screenshots. So that's nice. There's a whole bunch of pages in here. And you can, of course, fight, talk, and explore your way through. The virtue turns and how they work. The darkness turns. I'm really just kind of tempted to show you guys everything here. To be completely honest, because I want to see everything here. Now, these are all the additional game modes in the back here. So you got things like Providence. You've got darkness here. The artwork is just crazy nice. I'm really excited to see how this plays. And I'll just keep on rolling through. Now, I'm skipping a bunch of pages at the back here as we get towards the end, but a lot of them are reference pages that are going to help you to understand certain things. You're looking for a keyword to get you somewhere else. So that's the gist of the rulebook. On the very back, you've got a quote. Final page in the back there, you've got the credits. So yeah, 55 pages or so to get through that. Now, I was anticipating a decent amount of weight coming from books inside of this thing, but that is crazy. We're talking a fistful of documents here. That is ridiculous. We got Rattle of Bones here as the first one. I'm just going to move them off to the side here and go through them one by one. Not going to want to show you everything because I don't want to spoil too much, but this is how they were planning to break down Solomon Kane in terms of the adventure. So this one's called Rattle of Bones, and again, you know, if you want to run away from spoilers, I'm not going to show everything inside of these books, but I want to give you a rough idea of what these things look like. But you got the setup here for particular stories, and you move on from here into different chapters of the story. Things will happen as you go along, right? It's crazy how much stuff is in here. Beautiful artwork too. So yeah, each of these books are clocking in at probably around, well, this one's already going to 23 pages now. We're ticking up to almost 30. Like in terms of each of these chapters, just to get through this story, it's getting close to 10. Probably be surprised if that's kind of the length of them. Yeah, looks like about 10. And then you get to the Solomon defeated at the very back end. So you're going to have a number of these things to go through, apparently. So you've got this one here. We've got another one. What's this one called? The Witchfinder General Storybook. So again, I'm not going to show the inside of every single one. I'll just show you the front cover. I don't want to spoil too much of what you're going to find in these kinds of books, but safe to say there is a bunch of them, and some of these start to get thicker. So let me just tell you how much was inside that Witchfinder book in total for pages. We're talking about, that one's about 41 pages. It's a decently thick book. This one's even thicker than the rest. This is Skulls in the Stars. This one clocks in at, wow, 92 pages. 92 pages. That's crazy. It's Act 1 of 2 as well. So this is broken up likely in acts for that one. Here's another storybook. That's awesome. Another one, and in terms of total pages, we're talking about 47 pages in that one. I would love to show you guys every single page of the inside of those books, but I fear that that's kind of, you know, like I said before, it's definitely getting into spoiler territory. You know, these are the stories you're going to want to play through on your own. Haunted Mountain, like, the artwork is so good. And I'm a huge fan of the IP in general, so this is even more exciting. I really hope the gameplay is as good as this is all looking so far. And then again, another book, just a massive one, ripping in at 43 pages. Like, busy people will be with this stuff. Death's Black Riders. Oh, like, check out that art. I'm gonna say that a lot. I'm gonna say that too much, I think. 91 pages in this one. Another big one. We're not done yet. No, we're not done. More stories, more acts to go through. This one clocks in at 40 pages. And this might be the last one, and it is by far the biggest one. It's called The Blue Flame of Vengeance, and it is huge in comparison to the rest of them. This has got to be over 100 pages. Yep, 160. Like, that is madness. But now you can see inside the box, we've got tiles we got to open up, we got cards we got to go through, and dice. So next up, we'll check out the tiles one by one. Now, just before we take a look at those tiles up close and then go through all the components you're seeing here in the box, I wanted to show you the box insert itself. So you can see underneath where the tiles were sitting, there are some compartments here. We've got areas specific for our dice, areas for the cards all the way through. There's a box in here we'll see in a second that's completely empty, but will likely be full later on. And then we've got some other areas here to divide up cards, smaller cards down here, and then some more stacks going down. And that's going to wrap up the look at the core box and all the components inside. I did have to skim through a number of these cards as I don't want to spoil a lot for individuals waiting for this game to show up, but hopefully stopped enough times throughout the cards to give an idea of what each of them are like. There are a ton of discovery cards. A couple things I noticed as I went through the insert is that there were a lot of these plastic divider kind of things that were sitting underneath the stacks of cards, so once you open them up, there's actually more space down below than you initially think. Everything seems to be kind of raised up, and this is just mainly used for packaging, likely just to get it to the doorstep without the card shaking around. But you can see here, got lots of space back here, almost half, and again half here. And going over to these larger size cards, we have a whole bunch on this side. This is empty, and then this one even has some room as well. So I'm feeling pretty confident that we'd be able to sleeve all of these and they'd all fit inside no problem. The other thing I didn't show you was there are a few of these player aids bundled together in a separate pack. With the core box out of the way, we're now going to check out this Arsenal box, which I'm pretty sure is full of a whole bunch of miniatures. I already checked out the back of the box, and most of what is said on the back of the box is similar to what we've already covered, so we'll just jump right inside. So right off the hop here, we have trackers for strength, clarity, compassion, and danger. These are definitely bringing me back to that Gen Con 2018 video that I did when I saw these tracks on the table. Obviously, things may or may not have changed in regards to some of the gameplay since that point in time, of course, but this track I definitely remember, and it's really nice because it's recessed. You can see it's double layered, so it's very nice, very big as well, which is nice, very easy to see. You're not going to miss that. And then you've got all kinds of tokens. Oh, look at this, a nice easy little place to pick up the punch board. I like that as well. So here's some tokens. I'll be doing quite a bit of punching to get ready for this one, so I'll show you each of the sides. We'll head on to the next punch board. There might be a few of these, or maybe there's just a couple. Just a couple, not too many to go through. A couple more interesting tokens. Very beautiful artwork on these, again, like this one here, fantastic looking. And then we get past all the punch boards, we get to more tiles. We get to what I believe to be some of the major player boards inside the game. Looks like we have a whole bunch of those to go through. Underneath, we've got some pads of paper to keep track of our campaign. There's actually quite a thick pile of tiles here to go through, and then obviously the miniatures are buried underneath. With all the items on top of the boxes out of the way, now we can move into these four, starting with this giant one here. We'll work our way around. That wraps up all the components that come inside of the Arsenal box. Now let's check out the Right Hand of Doom adventure box. The Right Hand of Doom is an expansion adventure based on the story by Robert E. Howard. Blood gushes over the rusty steel bars, and Simon quickly gathers up the severed appendage with his left hand and throws it into the night through the window bars. For a moment, the necromancer stands by the window, muttering dark, arcane words. And of course, you need to have the core box of Solomon Kane in order to merge this thing in. You're going to see a miniature soon, some discovery cards, a booklet, right in front of you. And we've got the storybook here, The Right Hand of Doom. So let's take a close-up look at this. We'll go through it so you guys can see a rough idea as to what this is like. Now, similar to the other ones we saw earlier in the video, I probably won't go through every single page, but being that this is a standalone one, I want to show you at least components-wise and just some of the beginning pages to this thing. Again, it's going to go by a chapter-by-chapter situation all the way to the 47th page of this book, so quite a lengthy one as well, adding into even more content for Solomon Kane. So we'll go ahead and move this off to the side. You've got the box contents written out here, I'm assuming, on the opposite side. Yep, we knew what the box contents were from the back of it as well. And we've got the Right Hand of Doom miniature right here. So this miniature obviously has the hand right on it. And we've got a whole bunch of discovery cards to add into the equation. So this is a box that you're not going to need to keep. I'm literally going to take this one, toss it, and I'll be adding these cards into the base box. So here are some art prints. Who doesn't appreciate awesome art? So here's one of the 4 shots I want to show you. The one underneath is quite red, quite aggressive as well, and looks extremely awesome. The next one here, I actually need to turn vertical for you to truly appreciate this. That's looking pretty epic. And the final one definitely nails that scale, that feel of, wow, that is quite the challenge for Solomon Kane based on his size. If you enjoyed those art prints, you're likely going to enjoy the art inside of the art book of Solomon, and I definitely want to show you what you can expect to find in here. I won't be showing you every single page, but there's a lot in here to enjoy for sure. You got the table of contents laid out, and now we get into some of the artwork. As you can see here, there's over 100 pages to enjoy inside this art book, including even the map tiles themselves at the very back. And that, my friends, is going to conclude this unboxing video for Solomon Kane. We covered quite a lot of what is to come in the near future. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, keep on rolling solo.